Welcome to Mid-Season, where we talk about a one-season show that was kind of mid. I'm Fadzai.
And I'm Sandile.
And today we'll be continuing our journey through Chance Harbor with episodes 7 and 8 of The Secret Circle.
Woo!
Whoop, whoop. It's time for our obligatory Halloween episode in a supernatural teen drama.
Always around this time of the season when it's hitting October, November, yes.
Because we don't always get a Christmas episode, but you can be assured that at least in one season of this kind of a show, you will get a Halloween party, dance, something like that.
Yeah, it's impossible not to resonate with the supernatural of it all.
So in this episode, Cassie throws a little house party. It's the typical American thing of, I was planning to just have a few people over, and then suddenly the whole school showed up. American listeners, is that a thing? Do you just go to people's houses uninvited? Because I could have never done that when I was in school. Just like, maybe I wasn't popular enough to just find out someone was having a party and be like, yeah, they'd love to have me there, even though I wasn't on the guest list.
It's baffling to me. And the idea that someone I do not know would show up at my front doorstep saying, where's the party at? And I let them in? Insane.
Truly insane.
Unfathomable.
But on the dark, seedy underbelly of Chance Harbor, a bunch of witch hunters have come to town under the employ of Chris Argent.
His name is Isaac.
Isaac, who at this point we don't know his surname. And they cause a lot of havoc, and we get to learn that Cassie is a super special snowflake indeed.
And good for her. You know, all the other main characters get it. Why shouldn't she?
So let's get into it. As I said, Cassie's grandma is away. She is not just conveniently gone from the plot. She's actually gone for a very important reason. She is like, hey, I haven't heard from my friend Henry, Faye Chamberlain's grandfather, in a while.
Right. My co-elder, the man who presumably was in my circle or the immediate neighboring one. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm going to go check up on him because it's strange I can't reach him.
It's strange I can't reach him. He's been gone for weeks. I don't know. I guess in this episode, Charles and Dawn do state that we were hoping one of his neighbors would like find him at home dead and be like, oh, shame, heart attack.
Yeah.
But I'm like, clearly he wasn't popular or friendly enough for people to feel like they could just come over to his house. So no one has found him yet. But our opening scene, we get to see Cassie and Faye shopping for Halloween costumes and decorations. Faye is wearing Faye, I know it's 2011, but for us, we're in 2026, so we have to point the finger at you and condemn you for cultural appropriation. Sorry.
She says, I'm a sexy witch doctor. Her list of crimes is already so long. This choice with a black best friend, this choice.
Cassie was like, those are ancient artifacts, not a costume. But Cassie's like, yeah, I'm having a small social gathering because I think we all need to blow off steam after all the drama that's been happening. And Faye is like, I'm very surprised that you, as boring as you are, have decided to do this. But I guess I'm all for it. And Cassie's like, no, I think it'll like especially be good for Adam and Diana. And Faye's like, so that's why you're doing this. You feel guilty for breaking them up, and now you're throwing a party to try and lure them back together.
Yeah.
And you know what? If I were Cassie, I would have been like, listen, I did not break them up. I have barely had a starry-eyed moment with Adam these last 2 episodes. I've been dealing with my grandma, my dead mom, Jake's arrival, the lady who tried to kill me.
There's been burning crescents on my lawn. Like, I don't have the time.
But Faye is like, hey, I think the best way to cover up the fact that you tried to steal Diana's boyfriend is to get one of your own. Lo and behold, Luke walks into the episode, last seen in like, what, episode 2?
Episode 3, I believe, was the dance.
She literally she takes Cassie's arm and drags her physically towards Luke and is like, there, go, do something. Cassie's like, okay, Luke, like, I'm throwing a party, but I was kind of like crappy to you last time, so I would totally understand if you don't want to come, like, you're not obligated to, or if you're like busy or whatever. And he's like, no, it's cool. I'll come.
Yeah.
She's like, oh my gosh, he's such a sweetie. Okay.
I love that this antique shop, by the way, is like a local hotspot for the teens. What an interesting choice. narratively, but fair enough.
It's this or the boathouse.
Yeah,
the boathouse, which I guess is the equivalent of the Mystic Grill.
Yes, absolutely.
And Adam is the obligatory student who works there, like Matt and Jeremy were at certain points.
And Vicky, lest we forget.
So they're in the shop. This shop is owned by a man named Calvin Wilson, who is Asian American.
Yes.
But from a witch family that has been in this town for a long time. And I'm like, okay, I guess he had one white ancestor whose surname was Wilson. It's fine.
Who
Hand
knows?
wave. It's
And
okay.
it doesn't matter because here's Calvin Wilson, a witch, and that's all you need to know.
Before they speak to Kelvin, Faye's like, so now you have a hot guy to flirt with at the party. And Cassie's like, well, what about you? And Faye says, oh, I have a target in mind. Making it clear she's still obsessed with Jake. And I'm
It
like,
is
y'all be weak in the knees. Stand up.
embarrassing
Stand up.
that we are still here. And that we will continue to be here.
It's so sad. Gosh. But Cassie goes to pay for her purchase. It's actually Faye's purchase she's paying for. Faye's like, I helped you, so buy this for me while I get changed. And then as Calvin Wilson is ringing her up, he's like, hey, Blake on your bank card? That's a surname you never, ever run into in
Not
America.
at all a common surname for people of the Caucasus variety. This is alarming to me.
Any relation to Amelia Blake? And Cassie's like, yeah, that was my mother. And he's like, gasp. And then he briefly touches her hand, and the mirror behind him cracks. So I guess you've cursed his store for 7 years, Cassie. Shame on you.
Shame on you for not realizing he has wards in the store for that exact purpose. You run an antique shop, you think he's gonna be bothered by a simple 7-year curse? Nonsense.
But later on, when Cassie speaks to her grandma back at home and tells her about this, her grandma's like, oh no, it was just a little magic mishap, residual power and active power crossing. And I was like, okay, I guess the residual power is Kelvin?
Does that mean as you get older, your power weakens? I'd hate for that to be true.
I think it's just a specific thing to this character, because later on, another character will be like, you're not a very powerful witch, Calvin. And I was like, I don't like where this is going, but okay.
I didn't even think about that, and maybe
the
that's on me.
strongest witches in town are all white.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
That's when Jane is like, oh yeah, the Wilsons have been in town forever. They're witches. Cassie's like, oh, how many witches are here? And her grandma's like, well, it's hard to say. Everyone stopped practicing 16 years ago after that fire. And I'm like, I'm
everyone?
sorry. One circle of teenagers starts a fire and everyone decides, okay, let's let go of our culture, our heritage, our power.
Why would I
Crazy.
stop using my cool powers because some dumb teenagers blew up a boat? Get out of my face. Nonsense.
Wild. Grandma heads out. And Cassie's like, it's okay, I'm just having like a little sleepover with my girlies. I guess she specifically says the girls, so I guess she's pretending Adam's not gonna come. Speaking of Adam, he is working at the docks when he gets to have a little heated scene with his dad. His dad's like, hey son, morning. And Adam is very prickly. He's like, oh, you're awake. I figured you'd be sleeping off the alcohol from last night. Ethan is like, rude, but I'm fine. And then Adam's like, yeah, well, by the way, the keys to the boathouse, our place of business and our livelihood, they weren't on the hook. So I guess you forgot to put them back.
God,
And Ethan's like,
so
oh, here you go.
tough.
Here are the keys. Sorry about that. I appreciate the concern. I'm fine. Adam's like, cool. Do you remember much of last night? How about the little convo you had with Diana where you convinced her to break up with me because Cassie and I are fated to be together?
It's tough. It's already tough navigating addiction within a family, but also when your addict parent is peddling some magic nonsense. I can't begin to understand the position Adam's in. It's really difficult.
Oh, poor Adam. But his dad is like, hey, listen, I know it's hard to understand. And Adam's like, no, I understand perfectly. Since you've already ruined your life, you decided to destroy mine. And I was like, damn, all right, Adam, just take a beat before you say something you don't mean.
But I mean, this is the difficulty, right? It's that all of the responsibility falls on him because the one parent he has is in the throes of addiction. For as much as addiction is an awful thing and it's not Ethan's fault, that still falls on Adam's shoulders. Mm-hmm. And you have to think about because it's the argument that he and Jake, well, quote unquote argument he and Jake were having the other day, where it's like, well, the presumption is he's gonna go the same way. And then you have to fight as a 16, 17-year-old kid to not let yourself internalize that into your personality and your identity and your view of yourself and your future.
Which is certainly how he feels, because he tells his dad, Diana loved me, and the more I tried to be worthy of it, the better I got. Ugh. And the further I got from being you. Ugh. And I was like, damn. But also, let's not put that on Diana, Adam.
Yeah,
you can't latch onto her because she's your safety net to keep you from becoming your dad.
That's a longer conversation. I had forgotten how much of his self worth and his I don't want to say self-loathing, but to be factual, there is a bit of that day. So tied up in his romantic relationship, which is certainly not uncommon. Yeah, yikes.
And Ethan is aware of what's going on. Like, he gets it. He's like, listen, I don't want you to be me either. But, it's fate. And messing with fate will actually get you faster to being me than you know. And then Adam pulls out the big guns. Adam says, please stop using fate as an excuse for what you did to mom. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, because you keep talking about Amelia, but Amelia wasn't my mommy, so...
He's like, did you even love her? Because the way you talk about Amelia, it doesn't seem like it. And I was like, yeah, I mean, Ethan, I also wouldn't feel great if my whole life you always spoke about the girl you didn't get. And it's like, okay, what about my mother, who you married and loved and who died? Was she just your consolation prize? A rebound? Speaking of Lady Di, Diana's over at Cassie's house. They're being friends. It's so cute. She's helping her set up. And Diana's like, oh, I love Halloween. And I could use the distraction post-breakup. And then Cassie's like, oh, have you and Diana spoken since the wake? And Diana's like, no, we haven't.
You and Adam spoken.
And Cassie's like, I wish I could help. And Diana's like, actually, I don't really want to talk about it. I don't know why I brought it up.
Well.
And Cassie tactfully drops the subject, which I'm like, let's be friends. Let's leave Adam behind.
Truly.
Let's build a strong friendship first, and then we can decide what boys we're going after or not going after. Then Faye and Melissa come in with more decorations, and Cassie's like, oh, I'm gonna go find some plastic cups. They're hidden here somewhere. And I'm like, Bonnie Bennett could have found them for you. Remember when she found those candles in Elena's kitchen? But while she's looking for the cups, she finds a broken off part of the blade that Simone the witch hunter used to attack her. It's just like lying under the table. And it bears the same crescent symbol and a few other symbols that was burned onto their lawn. Cassie heads out, and who should show up but our favorite traitor, Jake.
Jake Armstrong, everybody. Woo!
She's immediately like, hey, look at this thing I found. And I'm like, Cassie, I need you to decide whether or not you trust this man. Because sometimes you have like caution,
that pisses
then
me off
other
so
times...
much because she will tell him everything, no matter what the immediate last shady thing he's just done is. And then the dialogue and her face will make it seem like, ooh, I don't know whether to trust you, Jake. You clearly do. You don't hide anything from him. It's so crazy.
It is really wild.
Everything he says.
I'm just like, okay.
I don't get it.
Okay, girl.
I don't get it.
She's like, yeah, hi, Jake. I'm going to take this to Calvin Wilson's antique shop and try to figure out what it means. And then Jake's like, no, don't do that. You're just going to risk tipping someone off to who you really are. Besides, that witch hunter girl is dead, so it doesn't matter now. And Cassie's like, yeah, but I'm tired of always being in the dark about all the lore in this world, and I don't want us to be sitting ducks for every antagonist that shows up. I'll be careful about what I tell him, don't worry. And I'm like, Cassie, be careful about what you tell Jake. Your main op is standing in front of you.
Truly.
My girl, please. Then, and I was confused about this. So Jake is like, cool, yeah, let me know how it goes. She gets into her car. He discreetly places his hand on the hood of her car and casts a spell to mess with her engine. Then he walks over to his own car. Cassie's car refuses to start, and then Jake drives off, and therefore he's able to get to the antique store first. How did Jake do individual magic?
Oh, Jake has been able to do individual magic.
But he's part of the circle. I thought he slotted into Nick's place, so how is he able to do individual magic?
But they established, right, that the moment Nick died, Jake was then now part of their circle. They didn't have to rebind him through a new ritual. But when we first meet Jake, he is doing individual magic.
How?
I don't know. Don't ask me. He does individual magic. He doesn't seem to need incantations pretty much ever. So I'm not super clear on why that is, and they don't seem to feel a need to explain it as yet. I don't know if there's an explanation that comes up later.
This is what Faye should be obsessed with regarding Jake, since she wants her individual power back so badly. I'd be like, if she's following him around constantly, trying to figure out how it is that he does this, then I'd be like, I get it, girl. I understand.
Right.
But anyway, Jake arrives at Calvin's shop, interrupting the man's lunch break, which is incredibly rude. He waltzes in like, I did some digging and found out your family's been here since forever. Then he whips out something called a witch cruet, which is a small glass jar with magical mandrake root inside. And Calvin is immediately frightened.
I do like this thing. I remember thinking this was very esoteric, dark, witchy. I like the idea of if I put the symbol of you within this glass and spell it and crush it, then you die.
Jake grabs him and cuts him and drips some of his blood into the jar. And then he snatches off Calvin's wedding ring. So this is a married man, canonically. Let's remember that when we get to the end of the episode.
Maybe he's widowed, but we won't see any family.
He mattered to someone. Then Jake is like, yeah, the last ingredient I need is a personal item that's absorbed some of the witch's energy. As long as the cruet has been spelled, if he lights the contents of the jar on fire, Calvin will die. So now that we've got that established, when Cassie Blake shows up asking questions, you better tell her you don't know anything, or I'll kill you. Okay, bye. And then he leaves. I don't know why I hate Jake even more for what he does to this man in this episode. Is it because he's a POC? Is it because he's an innocent?
Fair.
I don't know, but
take your
I
pick.
don't like it.
Take any aspect you just listed. This is just a guy who runs a store, who didn't do anything to anyone, and is a person of color, rare in this show. And he is needlessly slaughtered, extorted and then slaughtered.
I also don't like how it's like, yeah, the Wilsons have been in town for years and have been practicing witches,
but
and
they're
then Jake,
so weak.
The runaway loner who was raised by witch hunters in the last 2 years of his life, shows up and is immediately more magically powerful than this man.
Right.
In his own store.
In his own
his
store.
Domain.
You're telling me in his seat of power, he doesn't have anything he can use to his defense. And as we learn later, he used to run with the circles who are white and important. So it's like, why would they have deemed to include him in their antics if he wasn't of some appreciable power? Very strange. This is Theo Rakin all over again. The story warping reality so that a character can be inexplicably good at getting away with anything.
So Cassie does show up later on, and she asks Calvin about the blade fragment, and he's like, nope. Don't know anything. Also, I'm really busy, so bye. And then Cassie's like, okay, I'm just going to leave my name and my number in case you think of anything. And then he turns to leave, and then Cassie notices something nearby. A display case with a very similar blade to the one that Simone, the witch huntress, cut her with. So Cassie knocks this jar off the table, and she's like, whoops, OMG, I'm so clumsy, sorry. And she offers to help clean up the mess. And she's like, of course, I'll pay for it. And Calvin's like, no, it's fine, haha, I'll clean it up myself, please just leave. And while he's distracted getting a broom, she whips out her phone and snaps a pic of the knife in the display. So good for you, Cassie, but you did damage this man's stock. But I guess she offered to pay for it. So.
I don't think anyone was buying that jar of eyeballs. I think it's fine.
So Jake, meanwhile, goes to visit his parents' grave, and he's joined by Melissa, who's there to lay flowers at Nick's grave, which is right next to theirs. And she's like, hey, I'm also here to grieve Nick, OMG twinning. And he's like, grieve Nick? Ew, no, I'm here for my parents. Don't project your Nick heartache onto me.
Later, they will pretend as though this is a front that he's putting up. But he was by himself in that graveyard with no one around, and he was very explicitly directly in front of his parents' grave.
Exactly. The amount of reality warping, House of Emming going on so that this character can be what the story wants him to be at any point. I'm like, nonsense. He wasn't lying. This wasn't the front. He just wasn't close to Nick. And Melissa's like, no, stop the tough guy act. He was your little brother. And Jake is like, I hadn't seen him in 2 years. And when I did live here, all we did was fight. We were not close. Take this trip down memory lane by yourself. Oh. And I'm like, you know what? I believe you. I don't think this is a front. I don't think you loved your brother that much.
And I have no compulsion to sweep that away. I'm good.
But Melissa's like, wow, great big brother. And then Jake says, no. Nick was playing around with forces he shouldn't have. And he wound up dead. Which... that's not true. Nick was possessed because he was unlucky enough to be standing next to Melissa when the demon wanted to switch hosts.
Right.
And then he died because Dawn and Charles are awful.
Not a single thing that happened to Nick was his fault, in fact.
And then Jake is like, he starts off, I don't know where the sentence was going, but I got the gist of it. But he gets cut off because he's like, I could have told him not to. And then Melissa's like, but you weren't here to do that. Oh. So maybe this is on you.
Dragon.
And I was like, yes, clock him.
In fact,
exactly.
It is. Exactly. You learned about witchcraft. Found your book of shadows, and then left, knowing that meant your brother was also a witch, and you didn't care a whit about what he would do when he found that out. Wild. Wild.
And Melissa's like, you know what? I thought we might actually be able to be friends since we both cared about Nick.
You know?
Jake is like, I'm nothing like the rest of you, and then walks away. And I'm like, yes, that Candace Owens energy. Cassie gets her picture of the knife, the blade, from the antique store. And I guess she uses that to like search for symbols online. I don't know what program they're using to reverse image search or whatever it is they're doing on their 2011
It's
laptop.
the image search program. What are you talking about? We all had that in 2011. It's the symbol
But Adam was
search.
like, yes, my tech skills. I'll dig it up. The program is running. It should be ready in just a few minutes. Then Cassie senses they're on the cusp of another tender moment because, of course, it's just the two of them. And then she quickly moves away. She is trying. She's trying. She moves away and she's like, by the way, I called Diana to come join us.
And here's my question. Why didn't you go directly to Diana, who has a book of shadows that might actually have that symbol in it? I think you're giving Miss Girl a little too much grace, but okay.
Cassie, I'm trying, girl. But Adam's like, Diana won't come if she knows that I'm here.
True.
But I don't blame her. Ever since I was little, my dad's been talking about how he was supposed to end up with your mom, Amelia, and how now I'm supposed to end up with you. I should have known he'd say it to Diana as well. But Adam, in a moment of maturity, he's like, listen, I acknowledge that the breakup is not my dad's fault. It's my own. Because Diana only believed what my dad said about you being my soulmate because that's how I've been acting. Cassie's like, I am sorry for anything I might have done to make that work. I know that sounds like a notes app apology, but I mean...
And let me just say, I apologize for the things I've done you blame me for. Okay, Miss Alphaba.
I mean, he is the Fiero to hers and Diana's alphabet.
So true.
Adam's like, listen, I don't know exactly what is between me and you, but I know that without Diana, I'm not much of anything. And I was like, no,
God,
Adam, don't view
Adam.
it that way, you teenage boy.
You've got to fix some of that first before you get into a relationship. Your relationship can't be your entire self-worth.
But Cassie says, then you should fight for her. Show her that.
Real.
And then Faye walks in, in being Faye. And she's like, aw, forbidden love. So adorable. Am I interrupting? She's still got Cassie's Book of Shadows, which I'm like, wow, but you just let her walk around town holding that.
Oh, I thought she was coming from upstairs and Cassie had asked her to like look through that book as well. Or is that in another episode where she charges Faye with searching her Book of Shadows for something?
Maybe that's what she was doing. I hope so. Because Cassie, this weird ability to trust people who don't have your best interests at heart.
I don't get her survival ethic at all.
Cassie's like, did you find anything? And Faye's like, no, but I did find a cool attraction spell for future use. And I'm like, girl.
Okay.
But Adam's research turns up info on a group called the Geticas, or the Hunters. And it's some sort of society that dates back to the Middle Ages. Their motto is, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. And I was like, Christian?
So, the Bible?
Question mark, question mark.
The Christian Lord from the Bible? Okay, fair enough.
And Cassie's like, oh, so the girl who attacked me was not a witch, but a witch huntress. And I'm like, finally, she arrives.
Did she say huntress?
No, I just said that because it sounded cool.
Wow, look at you ascribing gender to the role.
Because it sounds like huntress.
You know what? I stand corrected.
So over at the Hunter hideout, Jake is busy preparing witch cruets for each member of the circle.
There he is again, doing individual magic.
Yeah, again, individual magic. I don't know how he's planning on getting a personal item from each of them. Because,
sneak into their
he needs
homes.
something that...
I don't
Good luck sneaking into Adam's home. That man doesn't trust you.
I mean, Adam works like 4 hours out of any given day, and his dad is drunk where Adam is working. Pretty easy.
I guess. Well, good luck getting something from Melissa, because she doesn't have a house.
Yeah, Melissa,
So,
good luck getting into the liminal space where Melissa resides.
At least now we know why Simone wanted Cassie's blood and why Jake swiped it from her, but he doesn't have the blood of the other witches yet. As he drops the ingredients into each of the cruets, he's saying each circle member's full name, so we hear that Melissa's surname is indeed Glacer.
Glacer, episode 7, baby. We finally get it, because we literally had everyone else's in the first episode.
So she is Melanie. I don't know why they changed her name from Melanie to Melissa. Whatever. Okay.
She's Melanie. Oh, you mean in the books? Yeah, I don't know what that's about. I don't see what the... Does it sound like one of the other names? Cassie, Diana, Faye, Adam, Nick, Melanie, Melissa.
I mean,
I don't see what the...
it ends in an E sound like Cassie, but then Melissa ends in an A sound like Diana.
Diana.
So either way...
I don't see what the issue is.
But anyway, Isaac is there as well, and he tells Jake that, despite being peeved at Simone for jumping the gun, at least she did the marking on the Circle's clubhouse lawn, so Jake doesn't have to. And I'm like, is the marking necessary, though? That was just an intimidation tactic. That doesn't accomplish anything. In fact,
Yeah,
it tips off your enemies.
But
if
it's
anything.
like it's almost like a ritual, like a cultural thing for them. It's the practice that they must do as part of the hunting of the witch.
I guess Jake doesn't get it because he's not a part of this group.
Yeah,
He'll never understand.
He's not born of the darkness. He merely adopted it.
He's the token witch friend. And they can point and be like, I have lots of witch friends and they actually agree with me that y'all are a problem.
I actually have the W pass, thanks to my good friend Jake. So,
but Jake is still annoyed that someone went off script and she could have ruined their whole plan. And he's like, killing a witch the wrong way will simply cause their power to pass on to the rest of the circle. And I was like, but how does that work when you said that the whole bloodline thing? So do we have to kill every member of a specific family and then the power will pass on to everyone else in the circle?
I guess none of them have siblings, right? Like for Nick, it went to Jake because Nick has a brother. I don't think anyone else in the circle has a sibling. So now it would pass to the rest of the circle.
Do cousins count?
I don't know. And I don't think the show does either.
But Isaac is like, some of the hunters, not me, but some of the other guys, they're a bit worried that this plan hinges on you, Jake. And Jake is like, no, I'm loyal to you hunters because witchcraft took both my parents and my brother from me. And I'm like, oh, so now you care about Nick's death. If you say so, Jake. But he's like, without me, your token witch, you have no one to spell the cruets. And you'll be back to burning witches at the stake. So Isaac's like, okay, fine, spell the bottles. Jake does it. The spell is let light rise out of darkness.
Which,
another boring spell.
What does that have to do with the witch cruid of it all?
No idea.
Is the witch darkness and light is in their death? But it's a witch spell. Is it like a self-hating witch spell? I don't get that spell at all.
Self-hating witch spell.
I don't know.
Internalized witch phobia. Isaac's like, I can't risk you blowing your cover, so some of the other hunters will be gathering the circle members for you. And then he introduces Jake to Ian, an eerie-looking twink who he says came from Salem, which I'm like, so we do get a Salem reference. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, also, we have another witch hunter who's local and is already acquainted with the circle members. And it's Luke.
Yeah.
I gasped. I had fully forgotten this reveal, and I know that's what you were referencing the last time when you were like, oh, I'm surprised.
I was a
Luke
few
is like
episodes off, but yes, I remember this very clearly.
So Cassie's waiting for Jake on her porch when he gets back home. It's annoying that these two are neighbors, but it's a very convenient way for the writers to have them keep bumping into each other.
Yeah.
But she's like, well, Simone must have lied to you because she was a witch hunter, not a witch.
Tell me why. Ain't nothing but a heartache. Why would you not assume that the information you got from this guy who was so certain that this girl was a witch, even said she was here to scavenge power, heard a witch was dead and came to scavenge power? Why would he have believed that this complex story from this woman who then presumably didn't use any abilities to fight? Why would you trust that the liar here is Simone, who has the more difficult lie to sell than Jake, who you know is shady?
Jake Armstrong, he walked so that Theo Rakin could fly. Honestly. So Jake is like, what? A witch hunter? That's crazy, bro. I wonder why she lied about that.
God.
And Cassie's like, did she say anything else to you? And Jake is like, nope, I told you everything she told me. Anyway, what makes you sure she wasn't an evil witch? Just because you did some research on those 3 little symbols? Come on.
Have you ever seen the meme that is a still from Inglourious Bastards where the guy is raising 3 fingers in the German way and not the American way, and the guy across the table is looking like horrified, like, oh, he's just given himself away?
I have not seen that meme.
People quote tweet with that meme when somebody on Twitter like gives themselves away as being, say, a Nazi or a fascist or supremacist. Immediately what popped into my head when the scene happened. Oh, those 3 little symbols. I never told you there were 3 symbols on the blade. There were 2 on the one that...
And Cassie has that moment of realization, and she becomes suspicious. Will that suspicion last going forward? No.
No,
it won't.
I hate it here.
She's just like, okay, cool. Anyway, so I'm going to get done setting up for the party. Chat later, bye. And then right before the party starts, Cassie comes in to see Faye and Melissa like doing some fun magic. They've taken a bat decoration and brought it to life with another boring spell. Take flight and dive. Take flight and dive.
I like the animation of a decoration animal though. That's always fun. It's a great episode in The Flash about that with a very cool character called Black Bison.
Ah, yes, Black Bison. What a cool power. Faye is dressed up as a seductive Little Red Riding Hood. Melissa is dressed as a sexy Hogwarts student, which I'm like, okay, on brand, 2011. And then Cassie is dressed as a bee with a gun. She'll later clarify that the costume is meant to be a killer bee. And I was like, okay, that's clever.
I thought it was cute.
Luke was like, you're a BB gun?
Which I think is very stupid, but anyway. Also, Luke in the Tyler Lockwood fit, he does not deserve the drip. I don't appreciate it.
How dare you stand where he stood?
Speaking of Harry Potter.
Melissa's like, hey, Faye, you know how you're obsessed with Jake? Could you keep him occupied when he arrives at the party?
Cassie,
I need him distracted so that I can go over to his house and snoop around because he definitely knows more than he's letting on. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to cherish this brief
moment of
this brief moment of the story.
Of sleuthiness.
Where she's sleuthing, she's suspicious. I love it. But the party eventually gets underway. We see Diana is dressed as a vampire. Adam is dressed as a Grim Reaper. Very important for later. Adam compliments her costume and tries to make small talk, but Diana's like, thank you and good night. And Adam is like, we can't even talk now. And Diana's like, what is it that you want me to say? And Adam's like, no, tell me how to fix this. I love you. So if I let you forget that, then let me try again. We can work this out. And Diana's like, we shouldn't have to work so hard. And Adam's like, not everything is perfect. And sometimes things are a little out of control, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. And Diana's like Cassie? And Adam has nothing to say to that. And so Diana walks away.
Oh, tough.
Calvin Wilson goes to see Ethan Conant at the boats. Ethan is like, why are you visiting me after all this time? And Calvin is like, can't an old acquaintance just drop by once every decade and a half? And Ethan is like, no, not really. This is suspicious. So Calvin's like, hey man, I wasn't in your circle because I'm a POC, but I never gave you any reason not to trust me. And Ethan's like, okay, yeah, but you shouldn't have come here. And Calvin's like, listen, you're not at the top of my list of contacts either, but I'm here to talk about Amelia Blake's daughter, Cassie. She came by the store asking about some old hunters we knew. I didn't recognize Cassie at first because I couldn't see much of Amelia in her, which is the opposite of what her grandma says, but okay. And then he says, but you know how it is with kids. Hard to predict which parent they'll favor. Stares directly into camera.
You're speaking my language, buddy.
And then he's like, does Cassie know who her father really was and what he was attempting the night of the fire 16 years ago? And it's like, oh, we're getting into it. And then Ethan is like, Calvin, leave it alone. And Calvin is like, Cassie needs to know about John Blackwell because she has a right to protect herself.
Blackwell.
Another John Blackwell mention.
The road grows ever darker.
They really edge us with this man's name. My gosh. Is he the Catherine Pierce of Secret Circle?
Is exactly that. Quite rightly that. It's such a cool name, too. I'm John Blackwell. Come on!
He's like, I am the hello, John. Goodbye, John.
In the books, do you know what he was called?
What was he called?
Black John.
No. Okay. Well... They said that's a bit on the nose.
Yeah,
like Catherine von Schwarzschild. You know? Catherine von Blackchild.
We're gonna muddy it just a touch, just a little bit.
Anyway, Jake arrives at the party, too cool to have put on a Halloween costume, and Faye immediately sidles up to him. So Cassie sneaks off, but she runs into Luke, who is dressed like a 1920s gangster, as you said, Tyler's fit from the 20s dance. And she's like, oh yeah, you. I just have to go do something way more important real quick, but I'll be right back, I promise. So Faye's like, Jake, why are you not wearing a costume? And he's like, Halloween dress up is for kids. I'm just here for the beer. Okay. And I was like, okay, well, maybe this is a sign you shouldn't be chilling with high schools.
Right, maybe you shouldn't be at a high school
with
party
high schoolers.
Because you're not a high schooler, you weirdo.
Chilling with high schoolers and then being like, ugh, these childish little kids. And I'm like wow.
You're at the party.
Faye seductively offers to give Jake a tour of Cassie's house, which is wild. Not your house, Faye. And then Jake is like, no, thank you. I'm far too busy to be aroused right now. And Faye is like, well, the joke's on you because your repeated rejection is making me very aroused.
So sad.
And she beckons Jake upstairs and he follows. So I guess he's not that focused on the job after all.
He is a man at the end of the day.
Melissa, who has to exist in the story whenever something affects the circle as a whole.
Because what does she do? Honestly, what do they give her in this damn show?
They gave her Nick drama, and that was it. She was hooking up with Nick, wanted something more. Eventually, he gave it to her. Then he died, and she was mourning him. And that's really all she's done so far.
There is only one other central storyline I remember her getting this entire season, and I hate it with a passion, and I don't want to deal with it. So that's the sum total of all she gets in this show.
Gosh, CW, you did it twice.
Yeah.
You would have had another 8 seasons of disrespecting the black main character if you could have.
Yeah.
Melissa goes to look for Faye outside and gets chloroformed and kidnapped by Ian the evil twink, who's wearing a pig mask. Melissa is not outside alone, I want to point out. There are several other partygoers hanging around near the porch, as well as trick-or-treaters in the street, but somehow no one sees her getting drugged and snatched. I don't know.
They were like, oh, I thought it was the wind. They pulled her into a liminal space, so nobody really saw it happen.
They pulled her into the liminal space in which she lives.
Right.
Faye takes Nick up to Cassie's room. This is crazy for 2 reasons. 1, ain't no way you about to try and get freaky in Cassie's bed. 2, you know Cassie's bedroom window faces the side of the Armstrong house next door. So you know.
And you said Cassie was clear she was going to snoop in his house, right? Like, that was clear.
And I know Faye knows this about the window because that's where she was when Nick and Melissa saw her being attacked by demon-possessed Heather.
Right.
So,
yeah, hey.
Wildly irresponsible. But her leading Jake into Cassie's room allows him to swipe some of Cassie's jewelry, which is exactly what he needs for her to complete his witch cruet. So, yeah, once again, the narrative bending time and space for this man's convenience. Cassie, meanwhile, can see through Nick's window that Faye is in her bedroom, and she's like, really, Faye? In my bedroom? And then wildly, she continues to snoop without first closing the curtains in Nick's windows. I was like, girl, the light is on.
I don't know why.
The first time you were in your room, you immediately spotted Nick in this room. What makes you think Jake won't spot you now? Do you think he's going to be distracted by Faye, the girl
by
he's
Faye's
barely
feminine
interested
wiles,
in?
which he has been very subject to.
Speaking of Faye's feminine wiles, she can tell very quickly that Nick is not really into this. Like, his heart isn't in it, his mind is elsewhere. And she's like, something's going on. And he tries to deflect by saying, don't start your drama. And she's like, no, you're different than you were before because you were always an ass and you were always cruel. But you were never distant when we were together. And I was like, if you say so, Faye. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
She means when we were hooking up, he got the job done. He focused on his work.
You know, I guess. Your work ethic is slacking.
And Jake is like, I don't know, Faye. Maybe you just always thought there was more between us than there really was.
Factual, it seems.
But Cassie rummages through Nick's room, where for some reason Jake has hidden some stuff, and she finds an ornate knife or dagger with some symbols on it. Witch hunter symbols. Then suddenly Jake comes through the door, having evidently ditched Faye and returned home like really quickly, I guess.
No, he magically teleported through he did a levitation spell and flew from window to window and appeared in the home.
Just wow. I was like, okay, Kurt Wagner, I was unfamiliar with your game.
The smell of brimstone in the air, yeah.
And he's like, looking for something, Cassie? And she's like, yeah, I was looking for Nick's MP3 player. I thought listening to some of Nick's songs might help Melissa, with her grief. And then looking at the knife, and he's like, did you think stabbing the MP3 player to death might give her the closure she needs? And I was like, he's getting smarmy. But Cassie gets smarmy right back. She's like, I don't know, but pray tell, what else is this knife used for? Opening really thick letters?
Right.
Killing people?
Right. Option A or option B, Mr. Armstrong. It's a short list.
And she's like, why do you have it? And Jake's like, it's not mine. And Cassie's like, am I supposed to believe this was Nick's? And then Jake is like, listen, I have something to show you, but promise not to tell anyone. And he pulls out a collection of fancy metal weapons hidden in Nick's drawer that all have the witch hunter symbols on them. And he's like, these were Nick's. And Cassie's like, why didn't you show these to me before? And Jake's like, because I wanted to protect Nick, because I knew how this would look, I was honoring his memory.
Tarnishing his dead brother's name to save his own ass.
And Cassie's like, there's no way Nick was a witch hunter, but Simone was, so there must be a connection. And Jake is like, well, Nick might have been looking into the witch hunter stuff and then accidentally drew Simone to town. And I was like,
when?
Jake Armstrong, Not you lying on a dead man's name. I'm African. We have certain beliefs about the dead, and I'm pretty sure that one of those beliefs is not to spread falsehoods about deceased people. As a supernatural being, you should be careful.
Yeah.
Watch yourself.
That'll be a curse he can't deal with.
But then Jake is like, can I see the knife? And he takes a step towards her, and Cassie is far from trusting him, thankfully, still in this era. So she quickly backs away, and I was like, yes, instincts. I love it. Can we keep this energy? We won't, but I wish we could. Then Faye comes in, and she's like, well, isn't this creepy? Is this what it takes to get you excited? A little girl with a knife?
I just... Get me to the end. I don't care. God.
And then Faye is like, Cassie, I can't find Melissa, so we should head back to the party. And then Cassie puts down the knife and the girls leave. Back at the Blake house, Cassie's like, Faye, why didn't you keep Jake busy? And Faye's like, I tried. I didn't know you were going to be waiting for him in his bedroom. And I was like, that's not his bedroom, it's Nick's room. And she wasn't waiting for him. She was snooping around, Faye.
I've got no time for her today.
Cassie's like, well, I was looking for something, but I found something else. And then before she can explain, she gets a phone call from Calvin Wilson, who is outside in the street. And he's like, hey, remember me from the store earlier today? I've left a package for you and you're in danger. And Cassie's like, what? And then before he can continue, Jake shows up and it's like, didn't I tell you not to say anything to Cassie? Calvin is like, well, actually, I was informing her about a different plot point.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with whatever your nonsense is. And Jake is like, well, actually, I don't care. I was just looking for an excuse to kill you.
Jake is like, I'm not convinced. I knew you tried to play the hero. And he lights his match and holds it over the cruet that I guess he's been carrying around all day.
Yeah, back pocket.
Calvin's cruet. And Calvin is like, please, I swear, it's not about you. And Jake is like, okay, what's it about then? And then Calvin's like, Cassie has dark magic inside her. Ooh. And Jake says, why are you so desperate to tell her? And Calvin's like, so she can fight it. Maybe stop it from overpowering her. And then Jake is like, oh, do you really believe people can change who they are? And Calvin says, of course. And Jake says, well, I don't, and drops the lit match in the cruet and murders the poor defenseless man like, right there on the pavement.
Why do I need to die because you've got self-loathing issues? Once again, why is Calvin Wilson having to diminish for the actions of this circle and their predecessors? I don't understand.
Introduced in the same episode in which he's killed.
Oh,
I don't like it.
More often than you'd think.
Back inside, Diana bumps into Ian Pigmask, and he claims to have accidentally gotten something on her face, and he raises a handkerchief under the pretense of wiping it off, and then he chloroforms her too.
Yeah. It takes a while. I was very this is more realistic than the scenes you typically see with the chloroforming.
Cassie goes to her room and she finds a boy and girl hooking up in there. And she's like, get out. And then she goes to her bedside drawer to get her crystal out of a box she's been keeping it in. Crazy that that's where she chose to hide it. I'm like, girl, your grandma told you to make sure no one else knew about it. Not only has Faye been in this room multiple times, she brought Jake in here. Also, you're having a house party with uninvited guests. What if some kleptomaniac came into your room or some perv was rummaging through your drawers?
Looks
and
like
they
a
found
diamond.
The crystal and stole
I'm
it.
selling it at a pawn shop.
A Grim Reaper comes in, and Cassie assumes it's Adam, who we all saw in the costume earlier. And she's like, yeah, I got a phone call just now from Calvin, but then he suddenly got interrupted. And then she gets chloroformed because, surprise, the Grim Reaper is actually Luke,
yeah.
Which she sees as she manages to pull off his mask right before she loses consciousness. Cassie wakes up at the Hunter hideout just as Luke is cutting into her to collect her blood for her cruet. Diana, Faye, Melissa, and Adam are already there. Don't know how Adam got snatched. They didn't show us that, but I can believe he got snatched. They've all been tied to chairs and placed in a circle with their backs to each other. And Luke is like, witches bleed just like normal humans. But you're not like normal humans. Isaac is there as well, and he's like, I have placed a ring of iron sulfide around them, which is neutralizing your powers. Science prevails over your ungodly magic.
Like, all right. This is a bit intense, guys.
I was like, honey, that's alchemy. I hate to break it to you. So it's actually a bit of both. It's science and magic.
Actually, that's going to become a point of contention going forward for the hunters in the show. But I'll say nothing further.
Okay. And then Cassie rightfully points out that we haven't done anything wrong. And Isaac is like, but you will. Eventually.
Minority Report.
So I guess we're working with the same, your kind will inevitably give in to a pre-programmed tendency towards evil shtick that the vampire hunters in TVD usually operate on. And the werewolf hunters on Teen Wolf, for that matter.
The difference, if you want to make one, is that vampires are biologically programmed to feed on people. Witches, it seems, don't have a biological imperative to do A, magic, B, magic that harms, C, magic that harms people. So I think there's more of a prejudice element to be applied here.
I was making the comparison, but I truly think they don't have a leg to stand on the way they think they do.
Yeah, no, it's straight up like the vibes are all bad here. It's very clearly hyper-Christian, like culto-fascistic, like it's bad all around.
I kind of like that they lean into the like religious fanaticism of it all with this, whereas in the Vampire Diaries it's more like implied, or like the energy is there but it's not explicitly a religious thing, whereas here like they're very much talking like Christians.
Yes, absolutely. Ungodly, your foul kind, your evil powers, you will be cleansed. You will never have to sin.
And Luke from Mr. Nice Guy to suddenly televangelist pastor's son. Because Cassie's like, Luke, stop this. You know us. You go to school with us. Tell him that we're not a threat. And Luke is like, no, the 5 of you bound your circle, so you have no one to blame but yourselves.
Wild.
And I'm like, this is ironic because you're treating binding the circle as though it's the first step in their path towards eventually becoming evil, when in reality, Cassie and the others agreed to do this specifically because their amped up powers were flaring out of control and endangering people, like Sally. And then Melissa's like, oh, so you know about us binding the circle. You must have been spying on us for a while. Were you doing this just so that you could narc on us to some witch hunters? And Luke is like, well, yes.
Yeah.
My father did, and his father before him. You weren't the only ones born into a legacy. At least I can be proud of mine.
Okay, Lucas. Okay, Lucas Wishhonson.
I am part of the Founders Council.
Truly, I am of the founding families. 1864, bitch. Get on my level.
Isaac is like, okay, that's enough exposition. Finish the ritual. And then Luke begins to recite, watch the witch, but never trust him, for his every thought is a sin, his every word a lie. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hellfire and brimstone sermon.
Hellfire.
So then Isaac goes outside just as Jake is rushing up to the hideout. And he's like, no, you have to stop the execution. Cassie, as it turns out, has dark magic. And Isaac is like, all magic is dark. And then Jake tells him, no, Cassie's magic is of a particular nature that makes her stronger than all the others. And that means you won't be able to kill her this way. And Isaac is like, meh. You're just too deep in your undercover role. I'm not going to stop the execution. Sorry, not sorry.
He's like, you very clearly have some weird crush on Cassie Blake, and I will not let that hinder my work. So
back inside, Luke is preparing to kill the witches one by one, and Adam is like, please stop. We're friends. Remember? You were introduced speaking to me
That's the
as
real
a friend.
one. Like, forget Cassie with Luke. Adam with Luke, who's been friends with him for some time.
And then Luke says, oh, I know. That's why I wanted to be the one to kill you and your friends. I'm freeing you from a life of sin.
You will be purified. You will be saved.
And Diana's like, no, you're not saving us. And Luke is like, you know what? For that, you get to die first. Thanks for volunteering, Diana. And then, insanely, he acknowledges that Diana has a good heart, but he says it's not enough to save her from her nature.
Right. It is a very, Christo-fascist thing to believe that we are born with sin. Even the smallest baby comes into this life with sin that must be purged and cleansed.
He said, love the witch, hate the witchcraft. So Adam and Diana give each other a last tearful look as Luke prepares to drop a lit match into her cruet and kill her. And then Cassie screams out no, and suddenly the cruet shatters. And Luke is briefly startled, but is then like, well, anyway. I'm going to ignore that obvious display of telekinesis because my religion says witches can't do magic inside an iron sulfide circle. So let me go grab another match and light someone else's cruet.
And nobody's questioning, well, we have one less cruet, so I don't know what we're going to do about Diana after everyone else is dead. But, I'm just going to keep going.
I'm just like, if there were any doubts you were a religious fanatic before, the fact that you observed something that contradicted your beliefs and you were like, no, I refuse to accept that it's true.
No, heart emoji. No, Christian cross.
He strikes a second match, and then Cassie lets out a primal yell and causes the fire to engulf Luke instead. And he screams and is burnt to a crisp.
Shoes on the other foot now, huh?
And in the words of the 6 merry murderesses of the Cook County Jail, he had it coming. Anyway, outside, Jake and Isaac hear Luke dying, and Jake is like, told you so.
Gosh.
Now quick, let me cut myself so it looks like I was attacked by witch hunters tonight. Back inside the building, Adam has wriggled free of his restraints, and he's like untying everyone else, and then they hear Jake let out what is, in my opinion, a rather unconvincing scream.
wincing.
I'm sure that was the actor's
pushing,
intention.
as the actors say. I can tell he's pushing.
He's like, ah!
It's like, oh my God. I thought we were on the CW. Are we on MTV? What's going on?
They rush outside and they find Jake lying alone on the floor. And Cassie's like, what happened? And Jake is like, a guy in a pig mask. He jumped me and brought me here, but I was eventually able to fight him off. And Adam is like, oh?
How would that?
Well, then where did he go? And Jake is like, well, there was an explosion from inside, so he ran away. And another guy came out of there and ran off too. He looked like his name might have been Isaac. I don't know. And Adam's face is like, I smell some bullshit, but let me not say anything right now.
Because nobody believes Adam whenever he raises very valid concerns. So why try now?
And later that night, Diana is back home getting ready for bed when Adam comes through her window to visit her and have a heart-to-heart. And he's like, oh, I was so worried I was going to lose you tonight when Luke was about to kill you. And my whole life, people saw me as that kid who lost his mom. Oh. And every day I feel my dad slipping further away. So, you are my home and I can't lose everything I have all at once. And I want to get past this. And Diana's like, listen, I know not everything can be perfect, because earlier in the episode, they were like having this argument that will come back in the next episode about, oh, you think just because things aren't perfect, it's not worth fighting for. And it's like, I guess you could say that her type A personality would lend itself to that read. But she's like, no, I know not everything can be perfect, but I have to believe that it can be, just so fighting for it makes sense. So no, we are not getting back together. At least not right now. At the Blake house, Jake comes to visit Cassie while she's cleaning up after the party. And she's like, yeah, it's so crazy that there are people out there who hate us as much as the witch hunters do. We didn't choose this. We were born this way.
Oh my God. It made me want to throw
There's
something.
your gay allegory, Sandile.
I refuse for Jake Armstrong to be singing I'm beautiful in my way. Get out.
Jake is like, guess some people are just afraid of what they don't understand. Bigotry sucks, man. And then Cassie's like, you are weirdly calm about almost dying tonight. And Jake's like, oh, well, I've been at this a lot longer than you. Then Cassie's like, have you ever done magic on your own? And I guess the honest answer is yes, but Jake doesn't explicitly answer. Like, he just looks at her. And then she's like, I think I did some magic on my own today. I think I saved Diana when Luke was about to kill her. And Jake is like, really? Wow, that's crazy. And then Cass is like, wait, why won't you round it up with the rest of us? And Jake is like, oh my gosh, why are you acting so suspicious of me? You still don't trust me? And Cassie's like, not really.
Which is untrue. Because you just told him something that maybe you could have kept to yourself.
The first person she chooses to tell is him, but she's saying she doesn't trust him.
I don't get it.
And I'm like, listen, I get that you don't like Faye and things are a bit awkward with Adam and Diana right now. Tell Melissa.
She's give her something. At least she'll be your confidant and that'll be a storyline.
Jake is like, I don't mind having to earn your trust. And Cassie's like, good luck with that. And she sends him out on his way. After he is gone, she finds a little gift Calvin Wilson left for her. It's this ancient looking like parchment or paper with some mysterious etchings and the initials JB on the bottom of the page. So at the end of the episode, we see Jane Blake finally arrive at Henry Chamberlain's lake house, and she finds his surprisingly well-preserved corpse lying on the floor. The guy is dead for like days or weeks now, but he looks like he just dropped dead.
If we're at Halloween and Cassie came in a month into the school year, it's at least a month, right? It's at least 3 weeks if we're giving episode 1 to episode 2 a week of space.
I guess it's cold in Washington.
Sure.
In the winter, his heating is off. I don't know.
Why not?
But Jane sees him there. She's like, oh my gosh. Reaches into a hiding spot at like the top of a pillar. And she pulls out, I guess, Henry Chamberlain's crystal. And she goes to him and is about to do some magic, presumably to try and revive him or heal him or at least find out cause of death. And then someone appears behind her and whacks her over the head, knocking her out and swipes the crystal from her.
They do not show who this person is, so I presumed we were getting a drop earlier than I thought we got one. But in the next episode, they very quickly elucidate that this was Charles Meade.
Yes.
So I guess they just didn't have Gail Harold for the episode? Because why would you hide that?
Yeah, it was strange, because all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I remember when I went to Henry's house and got that crystal from Jane, and I was like, why didn't they show your face?
Why didn't they show you?
Why didn't they do a dramatic reveal that it was you?
Guess we just didn't have him for the shoot day, I don't know.
But yeah, that's episode 7, Masked. which I guess it's because it's Halloween, and also because Jake is a liar that apparently no one but Adam can see through.
Truly, flop hunters burn, dark magic rises, and Jake Armstrong remains a shit stain and a terrible liar. That is all I can say about this episode.
Episode 8 is a cool one where we get a haunting. The haunting of,
haunting
Chamberlain House.
Of Chamberlain Lake House. I don't think this is a cool episode because where the hell is Melissa? Is what I want to know.
Yeah.
She is entirely absent from this episode. She's listed as credit only, so I guess at least she got credited for it. And I have troved online. Nobody has an explanation for why this is. There's nothing about her shooting something conflicting. Maybe she was out for like personal. No explanation that I can find. And so I must presume they just went, well, we've got nothing for Melissa, so I guess she's off with her mom, who hasn't been on screen.
That's what Faye says.
God damn it.
So everyone sans Melissa ends up going to the Chamberlain Lake House to look for Jane and Henry, while Dawn and Charles stay behind in town and get up to their usual shenanigans. And Faye ends up getting haunted by a creepy little girl who is, I guess, a psychic projection, ultimately.
Yeah, it's like a magical remnant is what it is.
We do get a lot of drama with the, I guess because Melissa is not part of the love, what is it? The love
Tetrahedron.
pentagram.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that like most of the drama in this one outside of the haunting is all romantic shit I don't really care that much about. So this episode was tough for me, I can't lie.
But the reason they go is because Cassie's like, my grandma's not back yet. She went off to visit Henry and I haven't heard from her, so now I'm getting worried. And Faye's like, well, I'm not worried, even though I haven't heard from my grandpa in a while. But I should mention that Melissa has conveniently been written out because her as yet unseen mother has taken her out of town for a little bit. Everyone else has decided to meet up at the Blake house, including Jake. Naturally, Adam is not pleased that he's there. And Cassie's like, hey, Adam, Jake is a part of the circle, and he was attacked by the witch hunters too. And I was like, but yesterday you said you didn't trust him. Yeah. Cassie, I'm so confused.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it extra pisses me off that he's so quickly integrated and so important as a character as the latest addition. And Melissa, once again, is not even in the episode. It's an extra layer to the Jake cake.
And then Jake is like, oh, I just remembered. Oh, crazy. I overheard the witch hunters say that they were leaving town as they were fleeing that shipyard when I was outside and you were all still inside. So don't worry about it. They're not important anymore. And then Adam is like, yeah, I doubt the witch hunters would give up so easily. What's stopping them from just coming back and trying again?
Right.
And then Faye's like, well, maybe they were frightened off by Luke bursting into flames. And Diana asks, does anyone saw what exactly happened to Luke? Because, we were all facing outwards, so, like, our eyes weren't on him. And Cassie's like, oh, I guess I should tell the rest of you now. Sorry, I told Jake this long ago because he's my favorite. But I think it was my magic that killed Luke in order to save you, Diana. And Adam's like, no, we were inside an iron sulfide circle, so we couldn't do any magic. And then Faye's like, oh no, Cassie's not talking about circle magic. She's somehow managed to access magic outside of our bond. She is, of course, immediately jealous.
I just don't
not a surprise in the slightest.
For this.
And she's like, little Cassie Blake breezes into town acting like this ingenue who doesn't know the difference between a cauldron and a broomstick. And now all of a sudden she's got the solo magic.
I don't care. I just don't care, Faye, that you're jealous. It is not important to me.
Jake is like, have any of the rest of you done individual magic since we bound the circle? And Faye is like, I wouldn't be here if I could do magic on my own. Do you think I like you people? And then Dan is like, this is a good thing, I guess. And Cassie's like, well, Jake told me it is possible to do individual magic, but every attempt I've made to do a spell again since that night has been unsuccessful. Faye is still jealous. She's blaming Cassie for all her problems. She even says that, oh, the witch hunters and the demons only started coming to town after you got here, Cassie. And Diana's like, actually, no, Ellen, that's not the truth. Those things started happening after we bound the circle. And Faye's like, yeah, we bound the circle when Cassie got to town.
You couldn't have bound it otherwise. You sound stupid.
And then Cassie's like, well, here's this parchment that Calvin Wilson left for me. Adam's like, hey, what are those JB initials? And Cassie's like, I think they stand for Jane Blake, my grandma.
Reasonable.
The one that I really want to find. I'm going to go look for her. Jake is like, I'm going to go with you. immediately offers to accompany her and be her knight in shining armor. And Faye's like, no. It's my family's lake house, so let's make a trip of it. I'll go too, because I'll be damned if this plot point, this love story between you and Jake continues any further. Not on my watch. They all decide to go, because Adam's like, yeah, we might as well put some distance between us and the witch hunters, who I'm still convinced could come back. Later on, Jake has a secret meeting with Isaac. He's like, hey, Isaac, Jane Blake went to go see Henry Chamberlain. And Isaac is like, are they practicing magic? And Jake is like, I'll go along with the circle to the lake house and see what I can find out. And Isaac is like, do the secret circle still trust you? And Jake is like, well, Adam doesn't trust me, but I can handle Adam. And then Isaac is like, does Adam have dark magic too? And Jake is like, just Cassie. And then Isaac is like, oh, okay, you seem very intrigued by her. Just watch yourself, because I don't like where this is going. Jake is like, no. The closer I get to figuring her out, the closer I get to figuring out how to kill her. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So this love story we're developing is this man planning to kill this girl. Mm-hmm. Great. I love it. How Damon of you.
I don't want to go there today.
But at the Chamberlain house, Faye tells her mom that she's going on a road trip, and Dawn is like, oh, okay. And she's like, yeah, have you heard from Grandpa Henry? And Dawn is like, nope, haven't heard from him.
No idea who that even is. What?
And she's like, should you be taking a road trip? Exams are coming up, honey. You should stay in town and study. And Faye's like, it's just going to be one day, and a bunch of us are going. Like, we'll be okay. And Dawn is like, your grandpa probably doesn't want, a bunch of teens going over and annoying him. You should just stay. And then Faye's like, oh my gosh, why are you making such a big deal about this? Like, you're being weird. And Dawn is like, no, it's no big deal. Just be safe. When the trip starts, Faye is annoyed that she's going to be carpooling with Adam and Diana because she wanted to go with Jake.
So boring.
And Diana, very pragmatically, is like, Jake went with Cassie because they're neighbors. That just made sense. And then Faye is like, oh, or you sent Cassie off with Jake because you didn't want her here traveling with Adam.
I was going to say,
even though you're no longer boyfriend and girlfriend.
That's the one thing I like about this episode, is that was not a pragmatic choice. Diana is being messy in this episode, and I love it.
She said, why do I always have to be the responsible one?
Right. Let me cut this.
I thought she only got messy at the lake house.
This was the first step. She laid the groundwork.
Faye continues to be unconcerned that she hasn't heard from her grandpa, because Adam's like, have you heard from him? And she's like, he's an old man who lives in the woods. I doubt he's sitting by his phone. It's fine. Once she's gone, Dawn is like, Charles, do you have Jane's phone? Jane, who you assaulted and kidnapped last episode, even though we didn't show your face on screen. Mm-hmm. And then Charles is like, yes, I have it. And she's like, okay, cool. Could you text Cassie Blake, pretending to be her grandma, and say, I'm already on my way back to Chance Harbor, so you don't need to come up to Henry's place, because the Circle members are going that way, and our plan was for some random neighbor to find my father-in-law's dead body, not my daughter, his grandchild.
Trauma.
Who will be quite distraught to see him like that. And then Charles is like, actually, I've handled that already. I hid Henry's body away because I was afraid that somebody might be able to, tell that magic had been used to induce the heart attack. So trust me, no one's ever gonna find it. And it's like, oh, okay.
Thinking ahead. Not a color I'm used to on you.
During Cassie and Jake's drive up, they bond over their shared grief from deceased family members. And again, Cassie's like, I can tell you care about Nick. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. Suddenly Jake is like, oh, I wish I'd reconnected with Nick sooner. I could have helped him with the witchcraft. And Cassie's like, I thought you didn't want Nick getting into magic. And Jake is like, yeah, but he got into it anyway. So, I might as well have helped him. Has your grandma ever spoken about your family magic? Cassie's like, yeah, apparently my lineage dates back to the beginning of witchcraft. And Jake is like, okay, your mom's side or your dad's? And Cassie's like, why are you so interested in my family tree?
Yeah.
Like, no, it's just, old magic is the most powerful magic. So, I'm just trying to help you trace it back so you can understand why you're able to do magic on your own. Mm-hmm. I'm doing this for you. And then he's like, by the way, where's that paper, those scrolls or whatever that Calvin sent you? And Cassie's like, oh no, I left those at home because I don't need them right now. And he's like, okay. Wow.
Whole face sours.
I was gonna give them another look, but okay, I guess. Cassie's like, my priority is finding my grandmother right now. So it's raining cats and dogs by the time the teens arrive. They find a spare key outside, because this is how Americans live their lives, apparently. Just the key under the pot plant outside. It's totally safe. And they let themselves in. And before they go inside, Faye hears the voice of a small child calling for help. And she's like, that's weird. Did you guys hear that? And they're like, nope, no idea what you're talking about. So they go inside, the power's out, so Adam lights some candles. Cassie spots her grandmother's scarf on the floor. And she's like, so my grandmother must have been here, even though it doesn't seem like anyone's here now. Jake says, okay, check your phone and call her. And then she sees the faked text from Charles. And she's like, so my grandma is already on her way back to Chance Harbor. And Faye's like, did she mention my grandfather? And Cassie says, no, but, Henry might be with her. And Faye's like, ew, I don't want any more of my family members dating more of your relatives.
I find it charming.
Jake is like, okay, let's go back then. And Adam's like, nah, we should stay the night because it's raining pretty badly. So Faye's like, yay, cool. You guys go get the generator up and running. I'm going to swipe some of my grandpa's liquor. We'll make an evening out of it. While she's on her own, she sees some wet footprints going up the stairs, leading to a small pair of rain boots. And she's like, what? But when she looks again, the boots are gone and the stairs are dry.
Yeah, it's a weird one for Faye. I wish all the other things she was going on about were not part of the episode so we could focus on this. Because this part is actually very, emotional and poignant.
And has nothing to do with Jake for once.
God, wouldn't you wish?
Back in Chance Harbor, Charles goes to see Dawn. She's panicking. She's like, where's Jane? And Charles is like, I knocked her out with sleeping pills. I don't know how you give sleeping pills to an unconscious person, but okay. Seems like a choking hazard. Dawn is like, okay, what are we gonna do about this? Because we don't have magic. And Charles is like, actually, we do. I have Henry Chamberlain's crystal. And Dawn is like, we need a spell to control Jane's memory so that we don't get caught. And Charles is like, I know where we can find one. They go back to the Secret Circle's little clubhouse and they locate Diana's Book of Shadows, which I guess Charles has known the entire time that she had access to and whatever, because either he planted it for her or I don't know. I'm assuming that...
I presume they planted it for this plan. That's why Diana was the first one to find it.
He claims that he followed the kids here after their binding ceremony. So apparently that's the only reason he knows where the clubhouse is here. And I'm like, how many people spied on this binding ceremony? Because Luke knew about it and Charles knew about
it's that scene from Glass Onion where Batista's outside the window and Benoit Blanc is all the way at the back.
They're like, oh, look at all the stuff our kids have. They have like a collection of spell books that apparently aren't books of shadows. They got magical tools and potion ingredients. And Dawn is like, takes you back to our early days, hanging out together, learning the craft. And Charles is like, yeah, that was before Blackwell. Another Blackwell drop.
They are dropping like flies, these references now. Also, I don't know why, but I presumed this house was what the old circle used in their day. I guess if that was the case, this would have been like burned down or blocked off or something by the elders.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know how they got all this stuff then.
I think you're right. I think later on, not in this episode, but I think in a later episode it is hinted that might be the case. Charles is like, so Diana doesn't keep a Book of Shadows at home anymore. Ever since the circle was bound, she's kept it close. However, if I know my daughter, and I do, she wouldn't have taken it on her little road trip with the others, where they might be able to get to it, so she left it behind hidden. And so he uses the crystal to do a locator spell that reveals the book's location, hidden under a loose stair. And Dawn is like, impressive. Let's take the book back with us and we'll return it before the kids come back. And Charles is like, no, this is where Diana hides the book. So we should just get the spell and then put it back where it was, which I think is fairly smart. Dawn senses Charles' behavior becoming more assertive and dominant and suggests she hold on to the crystal. She's like, you haven't been yourself lately. I think it's best for both of us if I keep it. And Charles is like, I was upset after Nick's death, but I found the crystal. It gives me hope that things can get back on track. So please don't talk to me like I'm one of your students, because I'm not. And then she's like, oh, okay. And he's like, I will be keeping the crystal this time around, and I will do what I want with it without you stopping me. Within reason, of course, he adds afterwards.
An interesting pair.
I like their dynamic. It's so fun.
Because it's never 100% trust. It's never 100% one person is like the most dominant, most like threatening person of the pair. There's always such like a shift and a balance with these two.
And it's just so fun seeing adults who are like so close to the plot instead of just being in the dark. Like in the Vampire Diaries, you have the town council, but they're running around like headless chickens. They don't know anything.
Oblivious and beyond a certain point, extraneous to the plot.
But back at the lake house, Cassie and Diana have a convo and Diana's like, I think Jake has a thing for you. So I guess you're right. Diana is definitely working some magic this episode.
She's got an angle.
Cassie's genuinely surprised by this. And then Faye comes in to give them alcohol and she's like, okay, I'm going to text my mom before I get lit to let her know that we're all okay. And then I'm going to go soak in the tub. The boys come back in from getting the generator up and running. And Faye rather unsubtly tells Jake that I'll be in the bath if you need me. I'm like, all right.
Boring. Embarrassing.
And then Diana's like, Cassie, give me a hand with these drinks. And Adam's like, no, I volunteer instead. Which leaves Cassie and Jake alone to start the fire. And Jake shows Cassie a spell for starting the fire. Cassie is about to say an incantation. She was about to say, from air to fire. And then Jake's like, no, non-verbal magic. Do it without chanting, just picture it and will it so. And she follows his instruction and successfully lights the fire. It's that typical sexually charged mentor-mentee moment where he stands behind her and puts his arms on her arms like he's teaching her how to play pool or something.
He even says doing magic together can reveal a lot about a person. It's like, well, then why would I want to do magic with you? You're very shady.
She's back to trusting him this episode. That died with episode 7. That suspicion died with the episode 7 credits.
Yeah, wiped away by that beautiful piano number.
Faye is bathing when suddenly she finds that her bath water has turned all muddy and brown and the bath is full with weeds. She screams and freaks out, and when she brings the others in to see, everything looks normal again. And then she's like, fine, whatever, get out. But she pulls Cassie aside and she's like, are you the one messing with me? And Cassie has no idea what Faye is talking about. And Faye is like,
to make me look crazy so you can have Jake all to yourself? You are the only one who would think of that, you insane person.
Like, you think Cassie's sitting here being like, yeah, I'm gonna make her look crazy so that Jake isn't interested. If I was Cassie, I would have been like, sweetie, I'm gonna hold your hand when I tell you this. I don't need to do anything to diminish Jake's interest in you.
Right, he's doing that all by himself.
But Cassie swears she didn't do anything and she leaves. Later on, the kids are bored and they decide to play Truth or Dare. So Faye asks Diana, and Diana chooses Dare. And Faye's like, I dare you to take your top off for the next 3 questions. She says this is because Diana needs to learn to loosen up a little. And I was like, okay. I have to remember you guys are teenage characters.
I was going to say, Truth or Dare with teen characters always puts me in a weird place. I'm just like, I shouldn't be here.
I'm just like, I don't like you pressuring your classmate into getting undressed in front of people she's not comfortable getting undressed in front of.
Including a strange adult.
You know? But I'm like, you are also a minor whose brain is not fully developed, Faye, so I have to give you grace. And Diana's like, well, this is not fair. And Faye says, the game isn't called Truth or Fair. Are you gonna play or not? So Diana removes her top, and Adam, being the chivalrous boy that he is, tosses her a blanket so she doesn't have to sit with her bra out in the open. And Faye's like, oh, that's cheating. Cassie mutters, this doesn't seem like a good idea, and takes a swig of her alcohol. Then Diana asks Faye, and Faye chooses Truth. And then Diana's like, how many people have you slept with? I like that Diana said people and not boys.
Sure.
She said, I'm leaving space for whatever your identity is.
An ally. Diana would be the one conscious enough to do so. We thank you, Queen.
And then Faye, immediately displaying her hypocrisy, is like, no, I'd like to choose Dare instead. And then Adam is like, no, that's against the rules, Faye. Are you going to play or not?
White Knight.
So then Faye relents and she's like, I've slept with 2 people. Ooh, guess I'm not the super slut you all think I am. Or I'm lying. Who's next?
Saying this? God.
Faye Chamberlain, this is your baggage, girl. I don't know who in this group has slut-shamed you. If anything, Melissa was scared to tell you she was hooking up with Nick because she thought you'd slut-shame her.
Firstly.
And then she tries to put a target on Cassie's back. She's like, who's next? How about Cass? But then she gets cut off when Adam asks Jake. This scene is so messy. I love it. God. Jake is so confident. And he's like, Truth. Adam immediately asks, why did the witch hunters not tie you up with the rest of us?
Correct. Correct. And he's been holding on to that bomb from last episode because he knew I need to time it right.
And then Jake is like, probably because I'm stronger than the rest of you and it took more guys to hold me down.
Oh my God.
And then Adam is like, I don't believe you. And then Faye says, I'm bored with the macho tension between the boys, so I'm going to take it back to a place of catty drama between us girls.
Right? Because that's so much more exciting.
So then she asks Cassie, but forewarns her that the truth question is a 2-parter. She's like, do you ever plan on going after a guy one of us hasn't slept with? Or is it just other people's boyfriends that turn you on?
This
wild thing to say for a number of reasons, not the least of which is Jake is not, nor has ever been your boyfriend, Faye.
It would be a real cool clap if it was true in either instance, which it wasn't. She didn't go after Adam, and she's certainly not going after Jake. And let me tell you, Jake is a free agent as far as Jake is concerned. So what does that have to do with anything?
And based on things that Jake has said since he got to this show, he was never in an actual relationship with Faye. They were never a couple.
It's just embarrassing.
And then Adam, still in his White Knight era, is like, Faye, shut up. And then Diana's like, Cassie can defend herself,
She can defend herself.
And I was like, oh no!
Now, conversely, that I like. Because Diana can say that. Diana can be messy because she was in a long-term relationship with Adam.
Call me slow, but it was only at this point that I realized the frequency that Diana was on this episode. I was like, oh no. I was like, she's not in your corner today, Cassie.
Not today, baby.
She's mad at Adam, and you are collateral damage tonight, Cassie. I'm so sorry.
And Cassie, you're gonna catch those strays with grace because you know where you stand and you know how it be.
So Cassie picks Dare. And before Faye can come up with a dare, Diana dares Cassie to kiss Jake. She hijacks Faye's turn and is like, no, I have something I want Cassie to do. I dare you to kiss Jake.
Ooh, so good.
Faye looks gobsmacked. Again, Faye, this isn't about you. You are collateral damage. This is about Diana and Adam. I'm so sorry you're getting caught in the crossfire, honey.
I'm not. I think she needs a wake-up call.
But Cassie does it, and Adam can't even stand to watch. He looks away, which Diana clocks. And then Faye decides that this is somehow Cassie's fault, even though she started this game, and it was Diana's dare.
Even though she was at the barrel end of both those truths and dares.
And then she stands up and tells Cassie, you were a one-woman relationship-wrecking crew.
Jesus.
Again, Faye, you are not in a relationship with Jake. You had all this judgment about Melissa's drama with Nick, and yet here you are, more Delulu than she ever was. So,
God.
She was on her high horse going, Melissa, don't mess around with Nick. You know, he's only gonna break your heart.
He's only gonna screw you over. And it's like, oh, we don't drink our own medicine, do we? I guess not. And I want to feel bad for her because I don't like Jake. But the thing is, bizarrely, the one thing you can say about Jake is at no point in his time during the show does he give Faye the impression that he is interested in her. So I don't know what to do with that.
We'll give him that inch. He is not leading this girl on.
Oh, God.
Finally, Cassie has had enough of taking this with grace, and she claps back and says, and you're a bitchy, spoiled little girl who wants to blame me for all your problems instead of just looking in the mirror. I was like, yes!
Get her again, Jade. Because my God, am I sick of it.
And Faye is gagged, and she storms out. Like, literally out of the house. She leaves and goes to her car. And I think she was gonna leave the place, like, the lake house completely, because she tries to start her engine and then gets distracted by the little ghost girl.
When did she not bring two people with her here?
Actually, whose car is that? Because she came with Adam and Diana. Did she take someone else's keys?
I thought she was gonna drive her mom's car. Or her car. Does she have a car? I don't know anything about Faye's driving situation.
I'm sure she has a car because her family seems well off.
But she said it's a 3-hour drive.
But she carpooled with Adam and Diana. She was disappointed that Jake didn't pick her up.
Oh.
So it's like, whose car were you now taking?
Whose car was Jake gonna be driving? Didn't Cassie drive them?
I'm not sure.
Jake doesn't have a car.
Maybe she thought Jake had just committed Grand Theft Auto and gotten himself some wheels.
Sure.
He would do that.
Why not?
But yeah, she sees the little girl in a yellow rain jacket standing in front of her car, and the girl runs off into the woods, and so Faye follows her. Later on, Cassie's wandering around bored, and she knocks some things over and finds a picture of a little girl. And it's the same girl that Faye has been seeing. Jake comes in and startles her, and he's like, hey, relax, I'm not Faye. And then Cassie's like, what's the deal with you and Faye anyway? And then Jake says, it's nothing. And Cassie's like, well, Faye acts like you're still together. And Jake says, Faye likes to act like our relationship was more interesting and complicated than it was. I don't even think of it as a relationship. So there you have it, from the horse's mouth.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I want to make clear, because again, it's because suddenly it may seem like I'm piling on Faye. Faye does suck is the thing. But as I said before, that's my biological daughter. And I love her unconditionally. Jake messed her up 2 years ago.
Yes.
How old would she have been? 14?
15,
when she was
14,
in this relationship with
yeah.
Jake? Jake is very much the issue there. It is the present day stuff that I'm just like, Faye, I need you to disconnect. Because this is A, a man who wronged you in the past, B, a man who's not giving you the time of day in the present, and C, at fault for whatever like harm or hurt that is within you in this moment that you are projecting onto the people that are closest to you, the people who are supposed to rely on you with all the shit that's been happening in your life. I'm just like, girl, get it together. I don't know, man. So this precise comment from Jake doesn't fill me with like, yeah, it's like, well, Jake, she was 14, you know? I don't think she was the problem in that era.
It is quite a jerky thing to say. And Cassie does say, spoken like a true guy.
Right.
And then Jake laughs and he's like, I like this side of you. You're cute when you're angry.
Ugh.
And then she's like, spoken like a true cheese ball. And I was like, yes, he is a cheese ball.
He
yes,
is.
thank you. Spoken like a true cheese ball. Like, so why will you later on be attracted to this man?
Everything he says is a cliche because he doesn't have any genuine thing to say to you, girl. He's been lying to you from day one.
But Jake is like, time for a magic lesson. All these emotions you've been feeling tonight, anger, pain, passion, that's the key to accessing solo magic. And then Cassie's like, well, if that were true, Faye would have left the circle a long time ago.
No.
And then Jake is like, not all witches are created equal, and that true power is something you're born with. He's like, I think that you do have this power, you're just afraid to go there. And then Cassie's like, yeah, you're a cheese ball. And then Jake is like, well, if you're not afraid, do a spell on your own. And then Cassie's like, why do you care? And Jake says, maybe I'm just interested.
Okay.
And Cassie says, then show me. I've been accused of doing a lot of things tonight. Maybe I should try at least one of them. And she kisses him. And I was like, no.
I don't care enough, honestly, at this stage. Like, whatever willful delusion that must be warped into reality for this, I guess just go for it.
It's the passionate CW romantic nonsense. And I'm like, thanks, I'm not hungry.
I'm actually full. I actually had a meal on the way here.
And then Jake stops her after a few seconds. And so she's embarrassed and excuses herself. I guess his guilty conscience is like, no, I can't kiss her while planning to kill her.
Okay.
Like, you were going to watch her and her friends die the other night, but sure.
No.
Meanwhile, Diana is also storming out of the house and Adam follows her and he's like, where are you going? And she's like, I'm getting firewood. And then Adam is like, why are you mad at me? I didn't do anything. And I'm like, Adam, such a teenage boy.
Adam.
You know what? The spirit of Matt Donovan really looms over this boy. Because I'm sure Matt Donovan was like, Carolyn, I didn't do anything when I was reminiscing about how Elena and I used to have enough space to make out in that car.
It really is like Adam is Stefan and Matt combined, and Diana is Elena and Caroline combined. And this is like the coalescent relationship fracture of those two pairs.
The energies are not mixing well.
Oh, it's volatile.
Diana reminds Adam that he defended Cassie from Faye, and he looked away when Cassie kissed Jake because he obviously couldn't handle seeing it.
And what does he say? No, I was looking at you?
Adam is like, no, I looked at you because I was trying to show you how much I didn't care.
What?
Which is a pretty lame excuse.
God.
Also, it's not even true. He wasn't looking at Diana. He was looking away and like not at anything in particular. Like his gaze was not really fixed on anything. He was just looking away. And Diana rightfully says, if you really didn't care, you wouldn't have to force yourself not to look. And Adam is like, no, I love you. You set that up on purpose. And Diana's like, you think? Altering the fabric of time and space to ensure your destiny with Cassie?
You really cracked the code on that one. Oh, I love Diana this episode.
She brings it to the place of like the whole fated, like written in the stars thing. And she's like, oh, so I guess it's my fault. I guess I'm doing what the universe wants me to do to make sure that the fated doppelgangers get together. And the two of them bicker all the way into the shed where she's looking for wood. And Adam is like, you know what? You just want a reason to be angry with me and you want to push me away. And Diana's like, well, I shouldn't want to. Maybe that's not a good relationship sign. And Adam urges her to just talk to him. And Diana's like, listen, you're just used to the two of us being an item. And that's why this is so important to you. You're afraid of change, which is a fair read. And then Adam is like, no, that's pathetic. Cassie has made you feel a little bit of doubt and insecurity for the first time in your life, and it freaks you out so much that you have to make me out to be some kind of emotional loser.
Damn.
And then Diana's like, it's not Cassie who makes me insecure, it's you.
Real?
And I was like, ooh, get him again.
Even in her messiest episode, going, you are the primary issue, not the girl who's not in a committed relationship. I love Diana, man.
She's so good. I wish I could have had several seasons with her. Adam is like, well, if you really want to be gone, you wouldn't have to work so hard to convince yourself. And then Diana's like, you're the one who needs convincing since you followed me all the way out here.
So stupid.
And then Adam's like, agreed, and starts kissing her. And then she kisses him back, and their passion boils over, and they hook up in a tool shed.
And you know what? Good for them. They clearly had a lot of tension they needed to release. Hooray.
Meanwhile, Cassie goes outside to find Faye, and she also catches a glimpse of the mysterious little girl in the raincoat. And she's like, are you okay? And then the girl runs off like a typical ghost child, without a word. And Cassie follows her into the woods and bumps into Faye and tells her about the little girl. And Faye's like, oh, so you can see her too? And Cassie's like, yeah, I saw her in a photograph in your grandpa's study. Who is she? And Faye's like, she is me. Faye tells Cassie she remembers herself wearing that exact outfit on the day she accidentally fell in this lake when she was 6 years old. And she almost drowned, but her grandfather managed to pull her out. And she realizes there must be some reason she's seeing this apparition of her younger self. Back in Chance Harbor, Charles monologues to a still unconscious Jane Blake about how he never liked her.
It's just like, okay, I guess. There's 2 minutes of the script to why Charles specifically hates Jane. I'm like, okay.
He's like, I never liked you. And it's not even because you and the other elders stripped me and my circle of my powers, which would be reason enough. It's because even before that, I always found you to be self-righteous and smug and dull. And I'm like, all right. I like how you can only get these lashings in when she's unconscious and can't defend herself.
Say it to her face. When she can whack you. Mm-hmm. Like the child you are.
And then he says,
my God.
But once I cast a spell to place you under my control,
Ew.
I think we'll be very good friends. So I guess that brief era of having a conscience after Nick's death is over. You could say maybe the crystal is corrupting him. Jane did warn Cassie that crystals can be corrupting.
They reflect exactly who you are inside those, what Jane specifically said.
Yeah.
She did not say it corrupts you. She says it shows you who you are.
Well, Charles is back in his evil setting, I guess. Faye runs after the specter of her younger self until it reaches the lake and then disappears. And Cassie chases after her. And Faye's like, the little girl fell into the lake. And Cassie's like, okay, please stop. I don't think this is real. This is not really happening. Calm down. Then Jake arrives and Cassie explains what's going on. And Faye attempts to go into the water to find the girl. And Jake holds her back. And Adam and Diana arrive. I guess they finished. And Faye is shrieking and getting more and more hysterical. And Adam has to help Jake hold her back. And the two of them manage to calm her down somewhat.
And then Cassie boils the lake.
No,
and
she doesn't boil the lake.
She
She senses something. She's pulled by instinct to walk onto the dock or the boardwalk or whatever. And then she walks to the edge and looks down the water. And then she puts her hands in it and casts, I guess, a non-verbal spell. And the lake, I don't think it boils. I think the water is just churning. A weighted down corpse drifts up from the bottom. And Faye instantly recognizes the body as her grandfather's. So I guess so much for your plan, Dawn Chamberlain. You let your granddaughter discover her dead grandpa, whom she loved, in like the most traumatic way possible.
I really don't get why any of that was anything. It's so bizarre, the way they dealt with Mr. Chamberlain's body. I don't know.
It was to show how powerful Cassie is, I guess.
No, not this bit. Just how the choices that they made in terms of what to do after they killed him. Just don't make a lot of sense.
Dawn and Charles.
Yeah.
Dawn and Charles are not nearly as clever as they think they are. And that becomes more apparent the longer you watch the show.
Yeah, that's true.
The next day, Dawn Chamberlain arrives. The police are also there. Faye is beside herself, and Dawn comforts her and takes her home. So yeah, Faye's car wasn't there because she drives back with her mom.
Okay.
And Adam and Diana drive back together, and Cassie and Jake drive back together. And Cassie is like in shock over this whole ordeal. And she's like, Henry must have somehow posthumously used Faye's own memories to reach out to her. And Jake is like, sometimes when a witch dies, their energy hangs around. The amazing part is that Cassie Blake was able to see what Faye was seeing. And Cassie's like, yeah, it's like I was connected to that vision of the 6-year-old Faye. And that connection called out to me from the dock. Jake is like, wow, seeing someone else's memories, that's some pretty big time magic. And Cassie's like, yeah, once I reached my hand into the water, I knew exactly what to do. And then she's like, Jake, why are you staring at me like I'm a freak? And Jake's like, not a freak, just surprising. And Cassie's like, I can live with that. And I was like, what show are we in? This feels...
This is romantic. What are you talking about? This is the pair. This is the OTP.
Adam and Diana get back home. And Adam's like, so do you want to go to the boathouse with me? I can make you some breakfast. We can be all cute. And Diana's like, oh no, our brief flare of passion last night was great. That was the last time that's going to happen. We can't just go back to the way things were. Being with you is all I know, but I don't know if it's right anymore. And Adam's like, well, I know it is. And Diana's like, we need to find out what it is like to really be apart, because that's the only way we'll ever find out if we're meant to be together.
Reasonable.
Adam, being fairly honest, is like, I'm afraid of you finding out that you're okay without me. And I was like,
That
oh,
sucks.
my babies.
That sucks.
Anyway, Jake comes home to find Isaac waiting for him. And Isaac's like, how was your trip? And Jake is like, yeah, Cassie's magic is stronger than anything I've ever experienced. Also, someone killed Henry Blake, but didn't do it right. So his energy came back and led us straight to his body. And Isaac is like, okay, who was responsible for that? And Jake's like, I don't know, but there are clearly other forces at play because someone else is targeting witches. And Isaac says, cool, we need to strike now and kill Cassie and the others so that we can move on from this town. And Jake is like, no, there's something about Cassie that I'm still missing. Calvin Wilson, he left Cassie some kind of warning, and I need to figure out what it means. And Isaac is like, no, it's time for the witches to die. And all that's left for you to do is decide whether or not you're still one of us.
Which, yeah, fair. It's like, I don't care about any mystery. I have a job to do, and there are other jobs to do after that.
In the final scene, Cassie comes home to find her grandmother waiting for her. And she's like, yeah, Henry is dead, and he was killed, clearly, since someone hid his body. And Jane is like, oh, wow, I'm genuinely stunned by that because I was just at the lake house and I didn't see him there, but I assumed he was just away when I received no answer from him. And Cassie's like, you didn't see him? And Jane is like, I never even made it inside. Honestly, I knocked on the door, there was no answer, and I left. And then Cassie's like, but
scarf.
I found your scarf inside the house. And Jane is like, that's strange. Her memories have been modified by Charles Meade, and I do not like this Kilgrave era that Charles is in.
Good.
It's icky, and I hate it.
It feels so any kind of mental manipulation, post Kilgrave, post Vampire Diaries, post Willow and Tara, it just feels gross. It feels especially gross when it's a man messing with a woman's emotions. Mm-hmm. Because when you can gaslight magically, ooh, get me out of here.
The gag is, going forward, we'll see he's not even that good at it because she ends up with some sort of like neurological damage thanks to this. And it led me to remember that since this is the same actress from Heroes, Claire Bennett's adoptive mother, who ends up with brain damage from all the mind wiping that the Haitian was doing.
I hate this
She's
for her.
always getting psychic brain damage.
I hate this for her.
That's episode 8 for you. As I said, the most exciting part is the catty little truth or dare game. I love when tensions boil over and everyone gets to say what they've been feeling for a while.
That's fair.
It's why The Beach is one of my favorite episodes, because the Fire Nation kids in Avatar: The Last Airbender get to talk about how they feel. Other than that, the haunting that Faye is subject to.
That's the bit I like. I liked the Heather, like, demonic slasher moment as well. Like, those are the bits I enjoy. And it's never enough. Never. Which is a shame, especially given the subject matter of the show.
Because we're wasting time on love
tetrahedrons
that are going on in this
absolute
show.
Nonsense that I don't super care about.
It's fun when y'all fight about it, but when it's like all that's going on,
yeah, it's
and then
exhausting.
Melissa, who's not a part of it, suffers because of that. It's like, because I'm not part of a love pentagram, I don't have a
deserve to be
storyline.
here. Like, come on,
just fully absent from the episode.
Vampire Diaries had plenty romantic like troubles and conflicts, and still had like, hey guys, there's like vampire stuff going on. There's like werewolf stuff going on. There's magic stuff going on. Let's give people something to do.
Because like, if she's in that scene, I guess she's not going to do anything except say, Faye, no, don't.
You know where she is? She's in the room when the moment someone says we're playing Truth or Dare, she leaves because she's like, I don't care for this. I'm still in grieving mode. And then when Faye goes to see the hallucination of her younger self, Melissa's there to be like, hey girly pop, what's going on? You don't seem all right. And then she's the one to boil the lake.
Or she's there to be like, that's clearly you, because I'm your best friend and I know what you looked like when you were 6.
She's like, that's obviously your younger version. If that's what you're seeing, then...
Oh, gosh. But yeah, those are all my thoughts for this episode. I'm very quickly, because I have watched ahead at this point, but I very quickly find myself getting bored of Jake's witch hunter race trader conflict storyline.
Yeah, it goes for a while. I can't remember what this middle section is like. There's one particular episode I'm looking forward to because there's a scene in it that made my sisters and I laugh endlessly for weeks after we watched it. So I'm hoping that's in the next chew. It's very possible.
I can't wait to see what scene that is.
It's gonna be tough to explain because it's visual and we don't have a visual. This is not a visual medium, but I'll see if I can post a clip.
Okay.
So that when I describe it, people know what we're saying.
The self-hating, like, race traitor thing, I think is a very interesting bit. We see it a lot in stories where, like, there's a species or a group of people and people who don't like them. You'll see it in X-Men comics. There'll be certain mutants who are like, and then I worked with the Sentinels.
Yeah, right.
Because I thought the leopards wouldn't eat my face.
The leopards wouldn't eat my
something
face.
like that.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, then commit to it.
I think there's certainly a sympathetic way to do it. It just doesn't feel like it in this, and I'm sure it'll become that at some point. It's just so much of this has been smarmy, shady Jake selling out all the people who think he's on their side and killing innocent people to achieve that means.
Because it's like he can't decide. Like, is he conflicted because he thinks that this is wrong? Or is he conflicted because he's got a crush on Cassie?
I think he's conflicted because his is hard for Cassie, and I don't find that compelling.
Yeah, and then it's like, you say you don't care about your brother in one scene, then the next scene, it's the pain of losing him that has made you become a witch hunter, but you were already a witch hunter, so it's like, why did you not come back into town and bring Nick into the fold if you thought magic was so bad because you already lost your parents? Like,
before any of this, before Nick died, long before presumably if he's like in their ranks. Oh God, don't get out of my face actually about that shit, Jake Armstrong. On the scale of things of that storyline, spoilers for Angel, I would say the storyline about Connor is more compelling to me than this is. Because you can chart a course there.
Yeah, I think with Connor, also the whole Dampere thing, like, I am a half-blood, born of evil, but I'm fighting against it. I've been raised by this man who has receipts to show that my father, at a certain point, was quite evil because, you know, the whole Angelus thing.
Right. It's like Jake at 18 being, I guess, brainwashed by hunters. I don't know, man.
And I find the whole, like, the hunter with a conflict thing is more interesting to me, I think, when you are just a hunter, not a race trader. Because there's too much logic that we need to set up for you to believably be against your own kind. And I just don't think they're doing a good job of it in this show.
Yeah.
Whereas someone like Alison Argent, who is not a werewolf, she's just born into a family of hunters. She is brought into the fold when she's already quite old. She wasn't raised from birth to be a huntress. She's brought in when she's like already 18, and she's loyal to them, but then finds out that some of her closest friends are supernaturals, and that therefore she's able to take a beat and be like, wait,
hold on.
Maybe what I've been taught isn't quite fair. Maybe this is not so black and white.
Even the mental gymnastics of being like, witchcraft took my parents and I guess my brother away, but I'm using witchcraft to like destroy the witchcraft is like, okay, so are you gonna kill yourself at the end of this because you're part of the problem? And it's like, the closest thing I can think of is Blade, who is a half vampire that fights vampires. But even in the Blade story, very clearly Blade has a certain level of code, right? He doesn't just slaughter vampires willy-nilly. Like, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
I don't know. CW always setting up quote-unquote bad boys and then making them, like, morally reprehensible in a way that you just can't contend with. I'm sick of it. Because I know the Jake Girlies will be coming out in numbers at some point, so...
And analyzing this show has made me so bored with Jake. I wasn't super invested in him before, but now I'm like, I'm actively... I actively dislike you now.
I just don't care for it, and he annoys me.
But that's where we're left at the end of episode 8. Why is it called Beneath?
I don't know.
I guess because Henry's body was at the bottom
beneath
of the lake.
Waters. I guess all the tensions were bubbling beneath the surface. Yeah.
The lake. Okay. The lake is the cast. The lake is the circle. It is all of us.
The lake is a circle.
Yeah, that's it. I guess we'll come back next time. Hopefully Melissa will be back in town. I do know that there's something not related to Nick that happens to her in the coming episodes.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions or thoughts, like, I guess our deepest fear that you are Jake Stans and are baying for blood, you can mail us at animalattackpod@gmail.com, or you can tweet us at animattackpod. That's at ANIM attackpod on Twitter. And our link tree is in the bio with all of our online stuff. But until next time, goodbye.
Cheers.